All right, everybody, let's get set up for scene 112. Move the crypt stage left and let's get Tor's makeup effect ready.
Mr. Wood, what do you think you're doing?
I'm directing.
And I'm hosting. What are you doing? Welcome to the Fortress of Dorkness, the nerdy nexus for all your geeky needs. I'm your host, Victor Villarreal. Could a director secretly be telling the same story over the course of 20 years? Is this that Jim Jarmusch thing? I don't need to see Alfred Molina again. Against the Grain is following a decades-long tale of a boy and his dog in the Tim Burton Trilogy. Woof. The films you'll need to collectively combine for this story in alleged order are 2012's Frankenweenie, 2005's Corpse Bride, and 1993's The Nightmare Before Christmas, which wasn't directed by Tim but still considered his story.
I don't believe you.
Look at the credits, best character ever, man. A few other films may be involved, but we'll get to those later. The idea here is that the above-mentioned flicks are all the ongoing adventures of a boy and his poochie. Namely, Victor and Sparky, Victor and Scraps, Jack and Zero.
I don't believe you.
Would you calm down? I'm getting to it. We start in New Holland during the events of Frankenweenie, where a young Victor and his dog Sparky form a close bond. So much so that Victor reanimates the mutt from the dead. Eventually, Sparky dies of natural causes, prompting his family to buy him a new dog, Scraps. Scraps passes away early, and unable to cope with the tragedy of his life, he runs away, being adopted by the Von Dort family. Time passes, and Victor does too. His restless spirit and love for horror turn him into Jack Skellington, where he is finally reunited with Scraps, and they malevolently rule Halloween Town to what? That last bit isn't a thing? The appeal of this hodgepodge is certainly there. This plot of macabre and runaways is a general theme Timothy is fond of. Visually, both Victors are very similar in appearance and mannerisms, and with no physical features, Jack could easily slide into that role. More so, the dogs are all similar, with long, thin snouts and a similarly shaped body and noggin. In fact, some characters are also strikingly similar in design, such as Edgar and Dr. Finkelstein's assistant. Some expanses to this theory also add in the short Vincent and film Edward Scissorhands. That is, Vincent grows up to become the inventor slash cookie maker, and New Holland is the same town seen in Edward Scissorhands. So, if you're following along, that would make that alleged order look like this now. Vincent, Frankenweenie, Edward Scissorhands, Corpse Bride, The Nightmare Before Christmas. So on the surface level, yes, one could say that these films are connected, which brings us to why this idea just doesn't work. And there are a couple reasons why.
I don't believe you.
Can we just... Firstly, the time period. Frankenweenie, being the beginning of the timeline, is set approximately around the 50s in America, which may not even be the case, since they mentioned Pluto is no longer a planet. But let's not dwell deeper into this than we need.
Let's not dwell on the past.
Corpse Bride is set in Victorian England. We'll let you guess how that math doesn't work. Go on, I'll wait. Nightmare being the end of the timeline is fine where it is. Next up, the man's best friend itself. As we mentioned, all the slobber factories are similar in structure, but even the theory agrees that Scraps isn't Sparky. So we're saying that Victor ran away after Scraps died and was adopted by these weirdos, which doesn't make sense because Scraps was clearly his dog when he was with the Van Dorts. And as Burton as it may be, why would Victor leave his clearly very loving parents to be raised by these old coots in a different part of the world in a
different time, a different king?
Are we just bookending these Game of Thrones references today? At least give me some egret to cope. Not what I asked for! You might as well just throw up the Dunkin' Egg card too! Oh, you son of... It also seems like Jack Skellington has been the official monarch of Halloween Town for a number of years. The video game prequel, The Pumpkin King, even begins with Jack already being a resident, earning his kingly title after defeating Oogie Boogie. Simply put, Jack can't be either of them. Either of them? Scheduled?
Scheduled?
Then of course there's the fact that the holes are basically filled in by fans. We're assuming that Victor gets a new dog. We're assuming that Victor runs away and gets adopted by some Victorian family. And we're assuming that because he loved the macabre, he became the embodiment of the macabre. This is the plot of a movie that just doesn't exist. Hell, let's take it a step further and just say he fell through a portal in time and that's how he ended up in Victorian England. I mean, why not? Let's throw Pee Wee Herman into the mix while we're at it too. Finally, Timmy himself has said before that none of his film series are in the same universe. There's just too much writing against this theory for it to be real. I mean, come on. The only thing that the fort may actually give this theory is that either Frankenweenie or Corpse Bride are the precursor to Nightmare, but not both. One of the victors dies and becomes Jack Skellington, with Zero being either the spirit of Scraps or Sparky, thus his new name Zero because he's just a soul. Is it over? Thank goodness. Leave your comments in the cemetery. We'll resurrect them someday. Please like, subscribe, and follow us through this time portal that fans just made up. It's real, you guys. They swear. This has been Against the Grain. I'm Christian Villarreal, and you've been watching The Fortress of Dorkness.